Well, I haven't made the video yet, but I'm pretty sure now is the right time to say, I told you so. Ripple is a trashy company and XRP is not crypto. But there is so much more to this story, like there always is. So get ready for my lullaby, cause it's time for Chico Crypto. Well, the case, it is happening. The pretrial has been set, and as we can see from the court filing, this pretrial conference takes place on February 22nd. So what's going to happen here? At the pretrial conference, the lawyers usually appear at the hearing before the judge without their clients, and they try to agree on the undisputed facts or the points of the law. Also, the judge and the lawyers will review the evidence and try to clarify the issues in the dispute. If the case is not settled here, pre-trial, the court will set a date for the trial. So there's another opportunity for Ripple to settle. Yeah, if you didn't know, Brad Garlinghouse and those involved had a chance to settle and make this go away. December 22nd, Brad put out a blog post titled "The SEC's Attack on Crypto in the United States," and he said, "Chris and I had the option to settle separately. We could do that, and it would be all behind us. Not happening. That's how confident Chris and I are that we are right. We will aggressively fight and prove our case. And through this case, we will get clear rules of the road for the industry here in the US. We are not only on the right side of the law, but we will be on the right side of history." All I gotta say is, bejesus, trying to stick a middle finger to the SEC is not gonna work. Many tried to do it in the 80s and 90s and even the 2000s with Wall Street. They failed, you will too. So in my opinion, it would be good to settle and not get the laws written that have a really good chance of hurting the industry for good. But because you think you're right, you want to take that chance, there has to be more to this story. Well, there sure is, and we got to dive into the SEC's actual complaint to find out what that is. And it comes in the section called tolling agreements. So first, what is a tolling agreement? Well, it's a legal tool of which entities like XRP can use, businesses and enterprises, to delay a lawsuit to possibly come to an agreement before the lawsuit is filed. And as we can see, the tolling agreements went from April 1st, 2019 all the way to December 24th, 2020. So for 1.5 years, Ripple has known about this lawsuit and has been delaying it through tolling agreements, which are used to settle, but they're not settling. It sounds like XRP, they were part of the group who got hit in 2019, but they didn't settle, while the others did. Remember EOS getting hit? Block 1 settled 6 months after Ripple's first tolling agreement arrangement, September of 2019, out of court, by paying the $24 million fine. So what's XRP trying to prove in court? What's their end goal? Well, the proof is in the pudding, and this pudding I'm about to show you. They're trying to cover all their bases, but first they're trying to make them the one cryptocurrency by law. Vitalik knows it. He tweeted about it after the SEC's complaint was filed. He said, "Looks like the Ripple XR team is sinking to new levels of strangeness. They're claiming that their Shatcoin should not be called a security for public policy reasons, namely because Bitcoin and Ethereum are Chinese controlled." Yes, that is taken from what they have said to the SEC as reasons for why they are better. That is their plan in court. It's going to be their narrative. But covering all their bases, what does that mean? Well, Ripple ain't stupid. They know that that's an uphill battle, lengthy trial, and very expensive as can be. And there is a strong likelihood that they lose. And XRP is ruled a security. So what was their plan B? Not Bitcoin, but plan F. Flare. Isn't it a coinkydinky? Right before this lawsuit, the Flare airdrop was pulled off. December 11th, the snapshot was executed for the XRP ledger. Then December 18th, it was figured out over 45 billion Spark tokens would be airdropped to the XRP holders, including the Ripple team, under a charitable organization. They obviously want their Spark. I wonder why. Now, Coinbase, they decided to suspend XRP trading next month. And from their help section on this SEC lawsuit, they also said this besides the suspension announcement. Further customers will remain eligible for the previously announced Spark airdrop, subject to approval in certain jurisdictions. You would think with all this uncertainty, Coinbase would throw that airdrop right out the window. Why would they support another liability tied to Ripple on their exchange? Unless it's not a liability. So we gotta back up to the batch of projects who went down in 2019. Enigma. They decided to settle with the SEC in early 2020. They had to return the funds to the ICO investors through a claims process, pay a $500K penalty, but also the kicker, register their ENG tokens as a security. That's exactly what the SEC wanted Ripple to do. Like ENG, return the funds to those who have been burned, pay the penalty, but also register XRP as a security, effectively killing it. As what happened to ENG tokens? They were killed, but not in the way you think. Months after the settlement, a community effort was launched called the Secret Network, taking the technology developed by Enigma and applying it to this community-governed decentralized network. And ENG holders could do a token swap to receive SCRT tokens. Now, Enigma, they had to register with the SEC. They were forced to, and they explained what was going on with Secret. They had to explain how it's decentralized, proof of stake. It had utility with secret contracts, applications that can be built, and it was governed by the community of token holders. In August of 2020, Flare put out a blog doing the exact same thing, but not to the SEC, but to the public. How it's decentralized, no centralized intermediaries needed. The utility fully explained. The dependent applications that will be built on it, and how it's governed by the token holders. Smells like Plan F to me. This was their token swap. If the lawsuit doesn't work out how they plan, where they are the rulers of crypto, they can still stick around with Flare. So the big question is this: Flare or XRP? But first, regarding the SEC lawsuits and uncertainty with a token, this leads me right into the sponsored segment of this video, supported by the team at Stacks, who doesn't have to worry about any of that mentioned. And like always, the full details can be found in the description. Why doesn't Stacks have to worry? Well, I covered it last week. Back during their fundraising stage, they registered their token sale with the SEC under Reg A+, the first regulated token offering. A first in 2019, and at the beginning of 2021, another first is coming, and things are about to get very interesting for Stacks. Reuters covered it in an article titled Blockstack's Digital Currency Stacks to be Tradable in the US Once New Blockchain Arrives. And the article says, with the launch of Blockstack Stacks Blockchain 2.0 on January 14, 2021, the company's network will no longer be controlled by any single entity, and its Stacks token can no longer be considered a security under SEC regulation. Yes, it all comes down to decentralization with the SEC, and once January 14th comes, it will be the first token to transfer from the security basket to a non-security basket, tradable across the US crypto exchanges. This is big news for the future of the protocol and exchange listings. Remember, in July, Blockstack was considered for listings with Coinbase? Well, they are now in the clear, and Stacks has been doing everything to prepare, including setting themselves up with the Coinbase Rosetta API. But what does Stacks do? What's the utility of their blockchain? Well, something which has been much needed since 2009. Applications and smart contracts to Bitcoin. So, how does this work? A simple way to think about it is like this. People are trying to bring Bitcoin to Ethereum, like Wrap Bitcoin, but Stacks is going in the other direction, bringing Ethereum-like functionality to Bitcoin. By doing this, they unlock the potential of the $500 billion in capital and all the hash power of the Bitcoin blockchain, 130 exahashes per second. So, the Stacks blockchain, it anchors itself to the Bitcoin blockchain and uses proof of transfer mining to secure its own network. Mining on Stacks 2.0 allows miners to mint new Stacks tokens by simply forwarding Bitcoin to the Stacks network. while stacking enables stackers to earn that BTC by locking up their STX tokens on the Stacks network. Thus, the end settlement of all that built on top of Stacks, assets, contracts, and applications is secured in the end by Bitcoin. What that means is DeFi secured by Bitcoin and its power. And within the Stacks blockchain, it's powered by their own smart contract language called Clarity, which is predictable, secure, and what I think sets the language apart, no compiler. What the devs write is what gets executed. So in just 2 weeks, this all goes live on the mainnet. And there's one more thing we need to highlight, and highlight big time: the stacking with STX tokens. So what is this exactly? This is using your STX to further secure the chain and be rewarded in Bitcoin for it. Stacking is a new, more secure way to earn Bitcoin without the need to build costly mining setups or go into DeFi protocols that might not be so secure. You just lock up your stacks for 2 weeks and earn the BTC from the STX miners, earning stacks for their BTC. Kind of cool, wouldn't you say? So if any of this tingles your crypto senses and you want to get prepared for the mainnet coming January 14th, all links for Stacks are included in the description. So now back to the big old question, Flare or XRP? Well, personally, I would pick the token, which is decentralized out the gate. Doesn't have Ripple tied directly to it, because me thinks Ripple is gonna lose if they don't choose to settle come their next chance in February. Why? Well, go back to what Brad said in that blog. Chris and I had the option to settle separately. We could do that and it would all be behind us. Not happening. That's how confident Chris and I are that we are right. We will aggressively fight. Like I said, they're trying to stick the middle finger up to the SEC, and if you look back in the history of those who have tried, they lose every time. Richer, more powerful people have tried, and they lose. Elon Musk, ring a bell? He tried to fight them, but ended up settling. Brad, you may think you will win, you may think you are in the right, but if they want to get you, they will. So in my opinion, they will lose unless there's some conspiracy going on to set them up to win and take over as ruler of crypto. But I doubt that. So Flare is the next XRP. Cheers. I'll see you next time.